Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host as always, King Life Drain, and it feels great to be back, ladies and gentlemen. While I'm waiting on my friend Jinx the Furry to show up for our duels, by the way, thank you Jinx for these duels, I greatly appreciate it. I'd like to take this time and say thank you to my 123 subscribers for their patience of waiting for me to come back. It has been a long time coming, but I'm finally back. I'm back to uploading, and I'm just so super psyched to get this video out. I'm gonna take this short time to say thank you all and let you guys know that I'm not just going to be uploading. I'm going to be streaming as well. I've been streaming actually on my PlayStation 4. I've been playing a lot of Destiny, but now that I've got all this set up, I am streaming on my Xbox. Currently, I'm streaming straight from the Elgato, but I plan to get OBS and everything like that set up. Hopefully, soon. And I'll be able to make my stream everything I've wanted it. So, until then, I'm going to be streaming from my Xbox, from my OBS, streaming Souls and all that stuff. We have a rather long subject to cover, so I'm going to try and wrap this up so I can get all my points out for this video. I'm going to be uploading twice a week, Sundays and Wednesdays. I know that's rather odd, but I'm planning on uploading one in the beginning of the week so you guys can have that straight off the bat. And I'm going to upload one in the middle of the week because it's just, why not? Because I'm going to be streaming on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 7 to midnight. And Saturdays I'm going to be taking the day to myself to do whatever the hell I want. Lay around, eat ice cream, put my thumb in my ass. Like I said, it's whatever I want to do. I'm going to save an official, what I'm going to do, because I finally decided what I'm going to do with my channel in a way of direction. So I'm going to save that for another video, and I'm going to try and jump into my subject of topic. The topic of today's video is Dark Souls weapon. Excuse me, I am so sorry. Me don't know what's going on. Let me get some water. Little refreshed. Anyways, Dark Souls weapons then and now. Who's superior and who's better? Well, that's stupid. That's contradicting. Who's superior and who's worse? I'd like to go out and say now that Dark Souls 1 has my favor for many things, but Dark Souls 2 does have its advantages. So we're going to go ahead and get on those right now. Starting with the straight sword class weapons. The straight sword class weapons in Dark Souls 2 are the most commonly seen and are possibly the most aggravating. For the fact that the R1 spam is so easy to hit with, and it's just unbelievable with the lack of poise in Dark Souls 2. It's easy to stun anybody, especially if you're wearing the stone ring. But when it comes to Dark Souls 2, I'm going to say this at the beginning of each weapon class because it's true. There is a new variety of straight swords. I mean, new variety types, the looks are great. It's just, they brought a lot to the table for this. The move sets of a lot of straight swords are reminiscent of Dark Souls 1 move sets, and then there are even new ones. There's a sword in particular called the Possessed Armor Sword that has both a straight sword and a great sword moveset to it, which really adds a different playstyle for you. Ooh. One of my favorites actually being the Blue Flame. The Blue Flame is a weapon that acts as both a straight sword and a catalyst, and it is downright awesome. It is my favorite of the straight sword classes because my sorcerer uses it, and it's such a great weapon, especially when you put it on a raw path instead of a magic path, so we have more physical damage out of it. It's great for comboing melee into magic, and it's definitely worth picking up. Gosh, why am I coughing so much, guys? I am so sorry. It's like, I guess I'm just so excited to get back behind the mic. Moving on to curved weaponry, I'm gonna say this. Like I said, I'm gonna say this at the beginning of all of them. There is a new variety of curved weapons and a lot of great looks. A lot of the looks coming like Meilu's Scimitar, Spider Fang, Mannequin's Saber, and a few others. The move sets are definitely better than that of Dark Souls 2, particularly the two-handed, the I know the Falchion or the Falchion, however you want to fucking pronounce it. It's the two-handed Obobobo combo, as I've come to know it. Isn't exactly in the game because the two-handed move set is much more fluid. I guess you could say it feels more like a curved sword the way you swing it, both two-handed and one-handed. I really like the one-handed running attack, the little twirl you do. It really feels like a curved sword, I guess you could say. I do like how the one-handed strong attack for most curved swords is that underhanded upswing, which is really nice. Same with the two-handed running attack. That's the same as Dark Souls 1, and that really is... It's... I guess the curved swords in general for the class just more... They feel more like curved swords. The move sets, the running attacks, the rolling attacks. It just feels so awesome. And to shine a spotlight on my favorite of the curved swords is the warp sword, which you get it from trading the Soul of Flexile Sentry to Orin effects, which is really cool. Sound a little bit like Mr. I Won't Forget there. I'm sorry. But the warp sword is one of my favorites. It is my favorite of the curved swords. I love how it looks. I love the little up-handed flick of the wrist slashes you do for its attacks. I love that delayed strong attack. It's really good for throwing off people who are trying to parry you. I gotta stop coughing. This is annoying. The warp sword it's really, really good for comboing. I love the hell out of that weapon, and its scaling is great, especially if you have your dex at like 40 or something. It's a really damaging weapon. Moving on to rapiers. Rapiers do come in different varieties. I like how some of them look. I mean, you have the traditional S-stock. You have the regular rapier. They don't have much in the class. I have to say I'm very disappointed with how Ricard's rapier turned out in this game. Dark Souls 1, the fact that it belonged to a prince, it looked more elegant, more regal in Dark Souls 1, mainly around the hilt, or no, the handle, my bad, the handle. And in Dark Souls 2, it just doesn't look like that. It just doesn't feel like it was Ricard's rapier. Sure, the moveset is there, but it just doesn't feel right. But I really like the shield piercing abilities of some of the rapiers that are there, especially Spider Silk, which is actually my favorite of the rapiers, because, I mean, granted it doesn't do that much damage, but it's great for those people who like the turtle. The strong attack, does decent amount of damage, like maybe 240 something, 230 while I'm using it. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot of damage, but it's great for just eating people who are trying to hide behind their stupid shields. That's all to say about the rapiers. I mean, there's not a lot of entries. Oh, ice rapier. God, I like the idea of ice rapier, the whole projectile attack, but I mean, it's definitely one of the most annoying in my opinion, especially when infused. I run into it a lot in the Brotherhood of Blood arena. It's infused with magic and then buffed with dark weapon. God. Moving on to axes and great axes. I have to say, again, the variety and looks of most of the axes and great axes are cool. The moveset is definitely different. Granted, if you miss your attack, you're still going to be somewhat open to be hit by your opponent, like in Dark Souls 1, you were punished for missing. But they have such great motion of movesets. Some of my favorites have to be the Dragon Slayer Crescent Axe. I just love how that looks. The Bandit Great Axe and the Drake Keeper's Great Axe. Those are just absolute monsters. The Drake Keeper's Great Axe being an absolute monster. And the same with the Bandit Great Axe. They're great for killing turtles. Like, the stamina drain they do is unbelievable. Same with the Worm Great Axes. Like, the Great Axes and the Great Hammers are, along with the Ultra Great Swords, and some of the Great Swords are just great turtle killers because of how much stamina they eat. Especially if you find the ring from the Crown of the Ivory King DLC, which will I mean, Iron King, which will add to that already high stamina damage. You can just kill out a turtle in like maybe two hits or so. Um, they are also great for damage on ripostes or guard breaks. They do that high amount of damage. Moving on to the katanas. What the fuck am I supposed to say about katanas? They're still OP as they were in Dark Souls 1. Granted, the bleed is not the same. Thank God. Um, the only real major problem I have with the katanas is the black steel katana. I like the idea of it, but it just doesn't compare to the Ayato from Dark Souls 1. The Ayato is just so awesome. I mean, sure they share the same moveset, but the Ayato just executed the sheath and slash so much better than the black steel because you covered much more distance with it, and just the whole crouching and running looks so much better. I'm gonna go ahead and move on because, like I said, not much to talk about katanas. The hammers and great hammers, again, come in nice variety and looks. I mean, the dragon tooth is back. There's the demon's great hammer, which comes back, which is so freaking cool. One of my favorite hammers. There's the malformed skull, which is cool. The great club or the large club, I can't remember which one is the actual one, but they're both ultra great hammers, or I mean great hammers. They're also great turtle killers. They're great for eating stamina for people who are hiding behind either a shield or a great shield. I really like the move set of these weapons. In Dark Souls 1, they were almost impossible to use because, they had that long drawback and then that ching. It was very complicated to use a great hammer in Dark Souls 1, but in Dark Souls 2 they make it simpler to use the great hammer to get hits off easier. I do like that. I have to say my favorites of the great hammer slash hammer class weaponry. I'd have to say my favorite is the Sacred Chime Hammer. That's my number one favorite. I mean, it reminds me of Grant, but it just looks so cool. I mean, it's a shame it can't cast actual miracles. That'd have been cool. Like the Mace of the Insolent. The Mace of the Insolent, which is the hammer class weapon. It's the mace version of the Blue Flame. It acts as a melee weapon, but can also cast miracles and hexes. It is such an awesome weapon. I mean, along with the Blue Flame, but the Blue Flame I feel is superior. Um, that's about all I have to say about those weapons. Gonna move on to great swords and ultra great swords. Uh, there's a nice bit of variety with great swords, not too much. The move sets definitely are awesome. I like the strong attack move set where the thrust and then the spin around. As in Dark Souls 1, you had that thrust, and then depending on the weapon, you would either have an upper sweep or you would have the overhead swing, like slam down, sort of like the Obsidian Greatsword had. I really like seeing the Abyss Greatsword return, even though it's called the Majestic Greatsword. No, it's the Abyss Greatsword. It was my favorite greatsword in Dark Souls 1. I'm happy to see it return. I'm really happy that it's effect where you need to have it in the left hand to use it effectively. Really furthers the lore perspective that Artorias was left-handed, and in the DLC Artorias of the Abyss, he was fighting us with his offhand, which he still kicked a lot of people's asses, including mine. I think another pair of great swords that were actually really cool are the Throne Watchers and the Throne Defenders. The Throne Watchers being magic and the Defenders being lightning. They were really cool. I like their looks. The Throne Watchers being sleek, more agile, while the Defenders was bulky and it was this hard-hitting weapon. And when two-handed, if you tried to use the parry animation, you'd actually activate their special buffs, which is you put great magic weapon on the Throne Watchers, and the Throne Defenders got like a weird Sunlight Blade buff for maybe 30 seconds, and it allowed to hit harder. And their respective scalings actually added even more to that damage, which was so cool. Another one of my favorites is the Thorn Greatsword, which is the Mirror Knight's sword. The Thorn Greatsword just looks amazing, and the ability to throw a lightning spear as a special attack opens up for like these beastly combos. Its base scaling actually really has a good hand in its damage from what I've seen. I really it's my fourth favorite of the great swords. Um, I'm going to move on from that to the curved great swords. I'd have to say the curved great swords aren't bad. The move sets are definitely better. Along the lines of good curved great swords, I say the arced great sword, which comes from the Flexile Sentry, as well as the warp sword and all that. Looks good. The curved dragon great sword looks really nice. I really like it. Its move set is, it goes with its sleek look, and its special move, throwing the gust out, is awesome. uh, which backtrack to the great swords and ultra great swords. The ultra great swords were really cool with their variety. My favorite was the Drakewing Ultra Great Sword for the same reason as the Curved Dragon Great Sword. I loved that. I love that projectile of wind. It looks so cool. But back to the curved great swords. The curved nil great sword, I like it. I haven't used it much, but with the times I have, I really like it because it has the old school Murakumo, like that old school, over the head swings, the side to side over the head. It feels like old school Murakumo, and I like that because the Murakumo was one of my favorite curved great swords in the first game. But their move sets, their variety, are all an A plus compared to Dark Souls 1 curved great swords, but they're still respective. They're still good. Moving on to the non-physical stuff, spells. Spells are really good in this game. I love, one of my favorite things is I did my first playthrough as a sorcerer, and the casting is so fucking amazing. It's better than in Dark Souls 1. In Dark Souls 2, it's a short charge up depending on your intelligence, but it's a direct fire. It's not, you hold it up and you leave yourself that much vulnerable and then boom. No, it's a quick fire and all that. Really cool. The staffs or catalysts, whichever you want to call them, come in a great variety. My favorite being the Staff of Wisdom. It just has that awesome look, like it says, I am a mage. It is so fucking cool. And the spells, a lot of the spells are freaking amazing. Soul Spear Barrage, Soul Shower, Soul Vortex, Soul Great Sword, Focus Souls. All of those spells are great additions, and in their own right, they are so awesome, and they are just so damaging with in the hands of the right mage. Hexes, I really like the hexes. Hexes come in great different looks. I like how Dark Bead was changed to Dark Hail. It's a much wider spread to catch gankers or a mob of enemies, or if your enemy tries to roll to the side, you can hit them really quick. The additions are freaking amazing. The chimes you use to cast them, or staffs, the variety of types is just awesome. Recollection, not focus souls, Dark Dance, all of those are just amazing. My favorite happened to be Life Drain Patch. Life Drain Patch is just so cool because it's a namesake. It's a good replacement for the Dark Hand, which did not come back, which is sad. And, well, that's about it for those. Miracles, I'd have to say Miracles. I really like the new varieties they added, even though there's not that much. There's Splintering Lightning Spear, there's Heavenly Thunder. I like how Wrath of the Gods has changed. I really like the way it looks like you're gonna heal, and it's somewhat of a one-hitter for most people, which is fucking cool. I love using it on my Blue Sentinel build for gankers. It's such a great way to lead people into a trap. And I love the damage that can come from it from scaling. The scaling really affects the miracles this time around compared to Dark Souls 1, and it's so awesome. Pyro, a lot of great additions, a lot. Fire Snake, Forbidden Sun, Outcry, Dance of Fire, and a few others, Immolation and stuff like that. Those are just like the most awesome additions. My favorite being Forbidden Sun because fucking chucking a sun is really freaking cool. Fire scaling is confusing. I still don't understand it, but I still do great damage with it, no matter what. Black Knight. I'm gonna move on to these real quick since I've only got a little bit of time left. I'm gonna say the Black Knights pale and this time around pale in comparison to their Dark Souls 1 cousins, I guess you could call them. The Dark Souls 1 had much better move sets, better looks. I really, well, mainly being the Black Knight sword, but I really miss the power attacks you could do with them. Those were so satisfying. Um, the dragon weapons this time around aren't that good. I don't like how the dragon straight sword and the dragon uh, great sword look like fucking miniature and extra large Quaylog Fury swords. I don't like the Black Dragon Great Axe. It is no replacement for the Dragon King Great Axe. But to get the point across, dragon weapons to me are much better in Dark Souls 1 than they were in Dark Souls 2. Um, that's about it. This is the last fight Jinx and I have. So I'm going to let you guys watch this remaining minute or so of it. And until next time, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Remember to like and subscribe. Remember, and as I said, a link to my Twitch page will be in the description. Come check it out. And if you actually want to get further knowledge on weapons, since I, kind of pitter-pattered explaining it, I will leave a link to Mr. I Won't Forget's channel, who is the Dark Souls weapons expert. Go check him out. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, remember to stay strong and take care of yourselves, because I'd hate to see you go hollow out there.